Roman roads are straight, right? Actually, they are far from straight. The usual answer is to say that they are straight in sections, but sometimes even that is not true. This talk is about Roman roads and their lack of straightness. The most common reason for a lack of straightness by far is the local geography, or things getting in the way. The Romans didn't go straight up the side of a steep hill just for the sake of straightness. Here is a fairly extreme example: the mountainous terrain of central Wales, and the roads are not straight at all. They wind their way, finding the least extreme route they can. In a more lowland setting, roads will still avoid obstacles. Here north of the Roman town of Kenchester in Herefordshire, the road is straight in sections, with a sharp turn as the obstacle of Nupton Hill is passed. Sometimes there is no choice but to climb a hill, such as here climbing the North Downs near Tatsfield in Surrey. Even here it's not straight. Some sort of zigzag to take the steepness out of the hill is common. Geology can be another factor. Here in Sussex, to the south of the road, the hills are formed of the chalk of the South Downs. To the north of the road is the nasty clay of the Weald, which is best avoided if you can. The road is placed on a narrow band of sandstone called the greensand between the two, and turns in order to stay on the sandstone geology, hence one of the modern names for this road, the Sussex Greensand Way. Also in Sussex, near Lawton, we find another reason for bends in the road. When crossing a watercourse at an angle, roads will sometimes turn to cross head-on before resuming their previous course. Also relating to water, take a look at this road between Sandy and Thrapston on the border of Cambridgeshire. Here the road makes a significant turn at another settlement, at Great Stowson. If you've watched enough of my videos, you will know that the Romans liked to place their roadside settlements on rivers. If they felt the need to have an additional stopping point between Sandy and Thrapston, they could have planned the location for that settlement on the River Keam, even though the resulting road is less straight as a result. Sometimes hills get in the way in a different way, not because they are too steep, but because you can't see through them. We're on the border between Hampshire and Wiltshire. Here turns occur at the top of the hills where the Roman surveyor could see both ways, but not necessarily all of the way. Here there are two turns on high points in order to get to a destination. At point A, the highest point, the settlement to the east can be seen, but not the settlement to the west. At point B, both point A and the settlement to the west can be seen, allowing the two to be joined together. If you watched my previous video on regional road layout types, some of those are relevant here. With the military push type of layout, there isn't necessarily a destination in mind at first, so the roads at the start of this area are somewhat curving, especially south of Lincoln and west of Little Chester. The last section seems straighter once Lincoln as a destination becomes clearer. Back down in Sussex and Surrey, we have the parallel access type of layout, where the main purpose of these roads is to give access to the intervening land, rather than simply a route from A to B. As the two roads head north towards London, they make a turn towards the city, but rather than joining together, they are kept deliberately apart with their turns to give access to more land. Despite many reasons to make a turn in Roman roads, sometimes these turns don't make much sense, and that's when things get really interesting. To the west of Leicester, the previously known road made a sharp turn to the south for no discernible reason. In actual fact, the road continued straight on to the west to Branston, with the road to the south being a branch road. Near St Albans, there is a turn at Brockley Hill that doesn't quite make sense. While it could be seen as a course correction after reaching the top of a hill, combined with a turn to make its way down the hill, the turn actually takes it down Brockley Hill and then, rather unnecessarily, up the hill at Elstree. Another possibility is that the zigzag in the road to St Albans is a branch road, and the road heading towards it from Cal Roast is the main road. This is somewhat concerned by slight possible traces of the road near Hillfield Park Reservoir and also the settlement at Brockley Hill itself. As this settlement is not on a watercourse, its presence suggests some other reason for it to be there, such as a T-junction. Unfortunately, most of the potential course of this road is obscured by Hemel Hempstead and Watford. If this connection is a Roman road, then it would extend from London to Axminster via Cirencester and Bath, taking a long curving route. Back to Great Stoughton, this section of the road between Sandy and Thrapston was only recently found due to developer-funded excavations at Great Stoughton, where they found a large Roman settlement. In hindsight, this road makes sense as a more straightforward link between the roads southeast of Sandy and northwest of Thrapston, making one log road between the Roman town at Colchester to at least Branston in Staffordshire and probably further. As seen in my video on Roman roads in Hampshire, the zigzag in this road between Winchester and Silchester probably replaced an earlier road to the west, which fell out of use before it became worn, leaving an old road without any of the usual cuts from Ware. Despite the bend, the replacement road was probably a more direct route to Silchester. Another pair of roads that head towards each other, that are now joined up, is a new section between settlements at Caister and Billingford in Norfolk, where the road southeast of Caister continues in alignment until it reaches Billingford. The road is not particularly clear on the LiDAR, which is probably why it hasn't been spotted before, but is visible on a number of aerial photographs at places shown here in magenta. Despite that, there is a particularly clear section in Hockering Wood, just to the north of Hockering, where the preservation of the agger shows that it has remained unploughed in the woods. I will cover this road in more detail in a future video. In conclusion, don't expect Roman roads to be straight, but it is sometimes useful to be suspicious when they are not.